smart.
Well, we are live. If you want to take
I'm wearing a t-shirt.
to go
Really?
grab your,
What?
if you want to take
We're
a moment
live.
to,
Yes. Hello. If you are here for the first time, or you're watching it after the fact, then I suggest you scrub it forward about 5 minutes, and we will actually be ready. Bum, bum,
well, we are a
bum.
little early.
We are 1 minute. I just started the stream 1 minute ahead of time. That is true. And can I figure out how to find the stream? That's always part of the problem. So that I can share it places. All right. Just now. Success. All right. Oh, but is this gonna... Post it. There we go.
I'm going to have to change the name of this to just chatting. The glory of producing live storytelling events. I went literal when it asked me on my restream. Went literal. Oh well.
Um... Yeah, let me see if I can message people directly. Oh, I can't. It's so wonky in what it lets me do
Oh,
when and how.
one quick thing that I think we should consider.
Okay.
We may want to pull some of the folk that are in our audience. Have done live shows before, and we may, if we have the opportunity, we may want to pull them up on stage and hear how they've done it.
Yeah, if we could organize that maybe for them. Yeah. I'm open to that. Have you done anything to prepare for this?
I
Lie
have.
to our audience.
I have, my friend.
All right.
Whenever you're ready, let's crack. Because remember, this is 4 weeks, and we'll have the opportunity to dig deeper into this.
Yeah.
And each week we can always come back and answer questions from the previous segments, as the case may be. There may be new people and new insights that can be shared so that our expertise grows as the audience expertise grows. Always
Sounds
thinking.
awesome.
Yeah. I am excited.
There are too many social media platforms.
Do you need a minute to go grab your t-shirt? Your Story Luck t-shirts? And your Story Luck swag, which is also important to have at these shows.
Okay.
Whew. This is awesome. Chris Bell, my friend, how are you? So good to have you. Congratulations on your upcoming MC work with Nibs. I am excited to hear all about that the next time we have the opportunity to chat. Dan, in the audience, Chris Bell.
We're back.
Moth participant in the Northeast, I believe in the Boston area. He's going to be doing some heavy duty moderation in with the national with NIBS. Oh, and that's a Northeastern Federation of Black Storytellers. I'm excited to hear all about that adventure.
All right.
Boston in the house. You ready?
Can we see? Well, I am. No. Hi, Chris. What am I missing? I feel like there's something.
Let's see. Where's the blinking link? Because Nestor wants to hop in.
Yeah, I linked him.
Oh, you did? You just got him?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We've got a bunch of hitters. There we go. Ribs, Rhode Island. Black Storytellers. My bad.
All right.
And Chris, about those ribs, you are the secret sauce. I said it. I did it.
Can you see? Is he?
I can't see Nestor as of yet, but
Okay.
I just made a dad joke about ribs.
So can we, before he gets here, no, that's silly. I'm gonna keep myself in check. I am gonna be. All right, we're on. Success. Okay.
Fantastic.
Game changer. I can't. I think I'm in the right. I think everybody sits too far back, closer to faces. That's what I think. I think it should be more like.
Well, you have those steely blue eyes that are mesmerizing.
That I'm trying. Yeah, that is true. That is part of it. I'm trying to do it.
You mesmerize me, and I'm like a cobra. I mean, I am like
right.
I am helpless prey in your eyes, Dan.
I don't think that was it. That wasn't the look. Okay, so that is absolutely what all we're going to talk about today. Is just like, if you don't have mesmerizing blue eyes, how could you ever produce a storytelling show? No.
That's why I'm here. I'm trying to learn.
They're trying to learn. How do you do it? Contacts. Where are we at? So it is 7:07. That is what I told. Great. I got some friends who might be able to make the February 2nd show. There's got to be some sort of like it's like we don't even know what we're doing, Chris. I am Daniel Andrew Boyd. This is my good friend Kory May. We both are mods for the personal storytelling narrative group. Personal narrative storytelling group on Facebook. It was started by Grit Podcasting, which is Sean Wellington's group. We are also in his swap shop, which meets once a week and sometimes twice a week. There's like a feminist version that meets on Fridays, right?
Right.
And what else is there to say? So,
well, let's do a brief recap for the previous. We took last week off, but the previous 4 weeks, we polished up, or we created from absolutely nothing to a more finished and polished version that we wanted to deliver at a moth or open
Oh
mic
yeah.
style show.
Did you do
And
it?
no, not yet, not yet.
When is yours?
Um, I'm not exactly sure. I would have to travel, so I'll
All
have to
right.
check.
I think
Um,
mine is on the 23rd.
Mine might be that time too.
All
So
right. Then you're
we
coming
took
to Chicago. Cool.
we took a week off and we brainstormed. Well, we've got a story, but where would we deliver that in the absence of a moth style show? So we decided to tell a story or do 4 weeks worth of step by step analysis of what it takes to get a show up off the ground. And this is week one. This whole week is where do you go find a venue? How do you find a venue? What goes into the venue that you're going to select so that you've got a place, hopefully a continuous place where people can come back because it's associated with your brand.
Yeah. Yeah. So this helps orient me as to what we're doing, even though it was, I think it was my idea. Yeah, I love it. Uh,
Well, speaking of brands,
I'm gonna,
wait, hold up.
yeah.
Show us your brand. What's your brand?
This is a T-shirt that we sell. This was a runoff that. Can I flip the camera? Was that backwards for you?
Yes, it was. What does it say for all of us who don't?
Yours
read?
is backwards too.
It is, but I'll
There's got to be a way to fix this,
right.
and I'm just.
We haven't gotten it there yet.
We're-
So
That's really upsetting to me.
what does yours say?
Mine says, here's the story.
Here's the story, and that's with Story Luck. Mine's Teller's Bridge. We're in Eastern Iowa, storytelling collective, and we put on 2 shows a month and 2 different venues. Oh, look at you. And we put on 2 stories a month. Well, you got to move a little. There we go.
There we go. So it's a little distressed. Obviously, I wear it, but also I could take this one fresh off the line. So in terms of producing stuff, one of the things when I first started up to get people to come to the show is I taught myself how to screen print T-shirts, and I found a local co-op, and I would go once a month and go create that looks really good. Your camera's good. Create a custom T-shirt. So there was a new one every month.
Wow.
That you could collect. And what I would do is I just reach out to my friends and I'd be like, make me a design. And they sent me a lot of cool ones. And this one is by a guy named Kenton Quatman. And I should be able to look him up, what he's up to. He is a graphic designer, but he's very corporate now. Let me see what I can find. This is going to be good. And then I will link to him in the chat.
Very cool. So one of the things that you've already established
Oh,
is
these are beautiful.
Story Luck and a brand. And then there's the esprit de corps of having the collectible T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
I like that. We went with Teller's Bridge. We went a different way. So we got ours, and we have tie dyes and long sleeves, but it's always got the bridge of people and the Teller's Bridge.
That's a good design. Who did that for you?
I believe we had somebody Fiverr it.
Yeah.
I made that a verb. So yeah, I wear this almost everywhere that I go, whenever I tell a story, just because brand identification.
Yeah. I think
yes,
you should find out who that Fiverr guy is. And
we may kick some more business his direction. I'll bring that up at our next meeting and see about what we can do. That's a great idea. So, how many years have you been putting on shows, Dan?
I think technically we incorporated in 2011. And that was something that was super important to me. And everybody was like, don't do it. You don't need to do it. You don't have to go through all that work. But what I saw, and I'm going to, for the purposes of this podcast, lecture series, I'm going to agree, like, just go ahead and do it. You can do it on your own. But for me personally, what I saw all over Chicago were all these people who put so much work and it was absolutely unsustainable. And that is a piece of the puzzle of producing live shows, especially indie shows, but even non-indie ones. Like if you're doing storytelling, if you're doing any sort of theater or art, you can't pay for it. Like it's a thing you do because you love it and it's fun to do with friends and to create something beautiful. But you can't make money. It's not sustainable no matter how popular and awesome it is. It is a loss leader kind of thing. And so one of the ways to make it sustainable is to do it, to incorporate. And so we turned into a nonprofit so that we could collect donations, get grants, do all that sort of thing. And it has given us staying power so that, you know, we incorporated in 2011. We started doing shows. And because we have that sort of branding and incorporation, even if we have a slow year or things happen, like that stays very in place. We can stay on top of it.
We recently became a nonprofit. We were an LLC, and then we became a nonprofit. And it seems to make a difference, especially when you're talking about grant work and accepting donations. That's clear as well. How many shows have you done? Ballpark figure.
Yeah, ballpark figure. Let me throw up a calculator. Because it's, well, let me see. So I can't do this math. 2025 minus 2011 is 14 years.
Okay. Right. And you do a show quarterly?
No. So like right now, yeah, and it's a question of like, what do you count as a show?
Fair.
Right? So I should turn everything into a show, but right now we have five things that we're working on. Now that it's mirrored, I can't understand how my hands are moving in the camera. 5 shows. What are the 5 shows that we're working on? Right here is the Storyluck show. That's February 2nd. Then we have tomorrow, the Slacker Mastermind, which is our business meetup group, which you should totally sign up for, Kory, and hang out with us. And then Sunday, every Sunday, we have our group, the Feedback Loop, which I totally think of like, it's not, we don't stream it or anything, but I think it counts for like what we're talking about, that like it encompasses it in that sense of like, I'd count the Cocoon.
Right.
Like your workshops, you know, if you're meeting on Zoom and hanging out, like trying to produce something, and then Detention Book Club, and the next one's February 24th, and then Journey to the End of the Night, the world's largest game of tag, is happening September 20th. So those are our 5 shows, and so right now we're doing basically 2 a month and 2 of them are once a week. But let's say on average I was doing 2 a month for 14 years. So that's not, wait, no. 14 years. How many months in a year? I got to do that first.
12.
12. Okay. So that's 168 clear. 168 times 2. So 336 is the rough answer. And it's probably a lot more than that because during the pandemic for 2 years, we did the workshop show, which was once a week.
Right. That's impressive. So you have a lot of experience navigating this space.
Yeah.
And once you start knocking some of these obstacles down, it becomes a more automated process to create a show. Is that a fair statement to say? Once you
Yeah.
have your venue and once you have your venue, that's half the battle there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think venue is really a big thing and is one of the hardest because depending on where you are signing up, it's so hard to get a regular slot. And if you're working, if it's not like an open mic where you kind of don't care who shows up or it's such a tight knit group that you can keep control of them, uh, audience retention, going to the same place, making that a habit, the same time, the same day, even if it's monthly. So it's like your first Sunday is so, give them something that sticks in their head. Oh, third Wednesday of the month is the one. And it's hard because venues have lots of things that are going on. And if you, like, even if you are bringing in money, they forget about you because everybody is really bad at business. Like everybody, it's like ridiculous. It's hard to be good at business.
You're right. You're right.
Lots of people are. It seems like are possibly working. Hello, thank you. If you jump on at any point, just give us a little hi into the chat. We would love to just wave at you. Know who's coming in there, and like all of this stuff back and forth is totally okay. What do you have it down for yours? Do you know how many shows you've produced?
We do 2 shows. Well, okay. So if we just are talking produced shows,
Yeah.
Teller's Bridge started off with our very first show in late 2019 at a bar here in Iowa City called Studio 13. It's a gay and drag bar. And so we were there before 9 o'clock and we got out because that's when the great crowd shows up at a little after 9:30.
Yeah.
But we had probably about 40 people there. And then COVID hit and we did a bunch of shows online. We do in the post-COVID era, it's 2 shows a month, one in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, one in Iowa City, Iowa. Our Cedar Rapids show has been steady. It's the same place. It's a pub called Parlor City.
Yeah.
One of the biggest draws for all these places, got to have food and drink. That is a huge thing. People want to be entertained and they also want to be able to sit down and eat something.
Yeah. So I'll talk about how I started. And it was just when I first moved to Chicago, the Moth here was in this rock club venue where there were no seats. And so people stood standing room only. It was just like a general admission rock place. Oh. And so you would stand for 2.5 hours because it was and sometimes longer, like 3 hours for this show. And it is just not conducive.
Right.
And I loved going. I loved the stories. I loved the people I met. And I was just like, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. I I agree. My main show is a potluck. We try to put potlucks into everything because that stories story luck is storytelling and plus potlucks put
Gotcha.
together. But one of the things that I think about that I like being in a theater and I like the just it's something that's important for me as a producer and as an artist is this idea of the stage changes everything for people.
It does.
That you're primed to see a stage and it can be anything. So when these different storytellers get on and they're like, I'm in the jungle, or they get on and they're like,
Right.
yeah, I just got out of bed the other day. The imagination is really easy to go to those places and have hosts come on and reset the the scene for you. It's just a little bit different when you're in uh, a pub where they have only like a riser or something of that nature. As an audience member, I have trouble not thinking about my surrounding.
Mm.
Whereas when I'm in a theater space, I'm primed to be like, okay, my imagination, this could be anywhere. And this is the thing I'm thinking about. And it might have something to do with, ADHD or whatever, but servers moving around, people setting down plates of food, turning on coffee machines, because a lot of places set up uh, at coffee houses.
Right.
And
Right.
I recommend against it. It's so loud when they turn on that espresso machine.
Right. Right. Um, for us, again, our Cedar Rapids venue is stable. We've been there for years,
Yeah.
and again, those two shows a month. So we're looking at since 22, about 66 shows. I'll go so far as to say that. Now, in Iowa City, our venues have bounced all over the place. We were enamored with the idea of the theater, much like what you were talking about. And we were at a smaller theater and 150 person theater, and we'd get 20 to 25. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the cost benefit analysis of that was hard. And then we went to from the James Theater to the Englert Theater Lounge, which could fit about 45 to 47. And we'd get our first show we sold out 49.50, and then declining numbers after that. Then we went to a pub called the Sanctuary, and there was a designated room called the Red Room. And now the Sanctuary had been around for 52 years, and unfortunately, it closed in December, or yes, December or January, and we're out of there, and we found a new place. Again, private room, and our first show in this private room in North Liberty, it will be on Tuesday. I'll be hosting that.
Okay.
I'm excited.
So with all these movements,
Right.
do you disagree with what I was saying then? Or do you find that is true, that it's difficult to get people to change their routine and go someplace else?
Um, that's a multifaceted question.
Mm-hmm.
So let me answer that in a couple of different ways. We're always looking for capacity and layout. How many people can we hold? What's the easiest layout? What other amenities that we have there? We are blessed to have our own sound equipment, and that's important. And then the other thing that we're looking for is accessibility. Can people who are disabled get in and out? Is it going to be fairly easy all the way around?
Yeah, that's great.
What the one thing that I can
Do
honestly,
you have a regular who's disabled?
we have some elderly folks who are um, a little slower. I wouldn't say they were disabled, but they don't get around as quickly as they used to. So
Right,
there's
right.
not a
So
lot of
it's
stables.
important to them.
Yes,
Yep.
it's a flat surface. There's no stairs. Um, Easy to get in and out from the parking lot. All that, and that's been important.
Yeah. Um yeah, we don't have anybody who comes regularly. We have that where it's like people who are unsteady on their feet come
Right.
fairly regularly, but definitely every single year somebody in a wheelchair or a pretty severe disability comes to our shows, and it's important to them that they have that accessibility.
Absolutely. Those are keys to any venue that we are looking at. And that's not about being politically correct. I mean, Teller's Bridge, we're building a bridge between tellers and the audience, connecting stories, connecting people with stories. And it would seem disingenuous if we were like, oh no, you can't come in because you're disabled or
Yeah,
differently able.
yeah.
So we can
So,
hit that one again a little bit harder. I mean,
mhm,
capacity and layout, acoustics and sound, and that's when you were talking about the coffee house and the espresso machine.
yeah,
that
yeah, it
those,
bugs you.
oh, absolutely, interrupts the flow of everybody, and then also accessibility, just being able to get in and out of a venue.
Right, right. Check where bathrooms are.
Oh, absolutely.
How?
Oh, yeah, all that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, there was a venue in Chicago that I used to go to, and the bathroom was behind the stage,
Oh no.
and people would have to like hug the wall
Oh
like
no.
a video game character, and then just be embarrassed when they flushed.
Right. Right. Oh, that's hard. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so
yeah,
difficult. I would imagine that either everybody goes before the show or at
yeah, yeah,
intermission.
yeah. Everybody who knows, big lines at intermission.
Oh
But,
man.
of course, there's always somebody new who's like, "Oh, where's the bathroom?" And you just, it's another one of those things where every time you went to that venue, you'd be like, "I know exactly what's happening over there."
Right.
That's the I gotta pee conversation.
Right. Um, that's with us having switched venues all over the place. These sorts of values became more focused. So for everybody who's planning to produce a show, these are common sense things that can easily be overlooked.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for us, again, Midwesterners, people like to eat, and eating and
But I think specifically with like oral storytelling,
oh
there's
yeah.
something about it because for us and what Corey and I are doing, we're always trying to get that feeling of kitchen table.
Excellent. Excellent. The intimacy of you being at your kitchen table and someone's performing for you and in a shared space. So there's so many levels of commonality. The storytellers telling a story that may very well appeal to you with a common experience. You're in a shared space with other people while you're eating and drinking, and these people at your table are your friends, but by extension, everybody else in that room is also no longer a stranger, right? And so the laughter that we share, the food that we share, it makes you want to come back in a month because you've created an atmosphere. And that's just as important as the brands on our shirt, but that
Right.
atmosphere is part of your branding as well.
Yeah.
If it's
So
cold
those
and
are things you're
stale,
looking for, but that's the is there a hard like what is the answer? Do you
well,
feel like you can switch venues and your 20 25 hardcores follow you anywhere?
um, yes, I can
Okay.
say, well, so I'm going to say yes. And
Okay.
if we were brand new and switching venues consistently, and I see your
Right.
question, Chris, then I think that would be bad business, and people would be less inclined to follow. They don't want to chase; they will pursue. There's a difference. If we have established that beautiful atmosphere, oh yeah, people will follow because they have an emotional investment. They know people. They are looking forward to the stories. It's a repeatable
Mm-hmm.
experience, and everybody wants to feel that. But that also means that you got to be someplace for a while to build that stability before you jump around to a new venue.
So Chris asks a question about for a theater, you're always gonna be paying for that space. You'd be very lucky to find a theater who's just like, well, we got it open anyway. Um, and for if you're in a bar, you should try to get it for free.
Right.
There's definitely bars in Chicago that make people pay, and in my opinion, it does not make sense. And you should be hustling if you're gonna go the bar route. You hustle and just be like, I'm gonna bring in 20 people, you know, and if they don't want that, somebody will.
Absolutely. Because you think about 20 people with a food, I mean with a drink, an entree, a
Yeah.
side, and a beverage, and maybe even, I mean, not a beverage, but a dessert.
Yeah. But on your show, like the storytelling show is like you're not trying to steal their Saturday night disco crowd,
Oh no, no,
right?
no.
You're not like competing with that. And so like you work with them to find like what's the time you're kind of slow.
Yeah. Ours are in Cedar Rapids, it's the second Thursday. And then in Iowa City or North Liberty, it's the third Tuesday. So, generally speaking, those are slow nights where that extra room is not being used. And you bring in an extra $800. People are more inclined to be like, we can do that.
Yeah. What do you so is that your situation?
Yeah, that's where we are in both places in Cedar, at Rayos in North Liberty or excuse me, Rios in North Liberty and Parlor City in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Do you feel like you have a good what was your process like for finding places? Did you have some in your head because you like go out to eat? Did you call them up?
Oh, first of all, if you have a personal relationship with anyone in the arts community, that's a good place to
Yeah.
start. Second one is realtors.
Oh, I've never thought of that. That's smart.
A
That is smart.
realtor is going to put you, they have their ear to the ground on every single bit of property,
Yeah. And they
and they're
know
going
other
to know,
realtors.
they know other realtors, and they know every bar and pub through that network. They know who's struggling, they know who's flush, and
That's so
those are
interesting.
conversations that you have. Those are absolute conversations. I highly recommend talking to a realtor.
Yeah. That's smart. I'm gonna talk to a realtor because I want to do one of my 2025 goals is to finish a one man show
Mm-hmm.
and find a venue that's free, and I'll do it anywhere, but I want to do 100 nights.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's yeah, we'll see. And
Well,
I'll just
hey,
like do it for
knock it
nobody
out.
or anybody who shows up, kind of
That
thing.
would be cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate the ambition of that.
yeah,
Um, so again, I have a high school friend. I have several high school friends who are in real estate, and you just talk. You absolutely talk, and they will put the ear to the ground and start connecting. And when they start connecting, you're the beneficiary of that web of information.
So another thing that I like is art galleries.
Oh, beautiful,
And
beautiful.
talking to those people is like a similar thing. The art gallery people know each other. And I think that also gives you an in for house shows.
Oh yeah,
I love events at somebody's house.
right.
That homey feeling again, that kitchen table kind of thing. Potlucks work at houses. Poetry at houses is big. Storytelling absolutely works. Feels like a party. Um, and so that is another one that I like. And there's people who like hosting.
Right, right. But you got to get in front of those people. So that means for Dan and me, or Dan and I, it's incumbent, and for everybody, it's incumbent that you talk about your shows. You have to talk about your shows. If you are not excited about your shows, then whatever networking that you're doing, because all of this is relationship built. All of this is relationship built. Every single thing that we do here is about a relationship with somebody. And if you're not enthusiastic about it, they won't be. And you have to tell people that you're trying to get this up off the ground. You've got a great concept. You've got to work this out. By all means, go talk it up.
Yeah. Have you ever had a venue where you had a bad relationship with the person?
Um, this is recorded, so I can't answer with any specifics.
Specificity.
But there are some places that I would just be like, oh well, that's a wonderful opportunity that we are able to avoid.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. The only one that I have really is like the bar scene, and just I have found bar owners hard to deal with. They're just like hard to pin down. They're not grateful. They don't have vision for like what's happening, and they're forgetful.
I will definitely agree with that last point, your C sub point, that forgetful. There would be multiple times when I would arrive early at a venue, and um, what are you here for?
Yeah.
And we do this every month, and I'm hoping that the steady drumbeat of this is such that it's on your calendar because we're bringing in 35 people. And if you're not staffed for that, then everything rolls downhill
Yeah.
because they
So
need to have the capacity for kitchen help and serving help as well as bar help if you're going to have 35 new people showing up on this particular day.
um this is sort of a segue into the second half of this show that we had on the talk of the finding venues and stuff like that is like over communicate and
Definitely.
just like lots of reminders. Nobody gets bugged by it. Everybody gets too many emails anyway. Uh, yeah, and it's something that does bite me because of that sort of thing. I'm like, it's in my calendar. I didn't forget. Well, of course you didn't forget. It's your show.
Right.
They have hundreds of shows. They're doing stuff every night.
Right.
They're more likely to forget and space out, and then you don't have chairs, or you don't have a bartender,
Right.
or stuff like that will happen. So
It's
the segue that I'm trying to make is that the next question, the people who you really have to over communicate with, is features.
Right.
And this is something that I have just begun to get automated on my end, and
Right.
I'm excited about it. But I want to hear, Kory, what you think about what goes into your head about features that you want to book and features that you don't want to book. Have you ever had any problems in those realms where somebody's like, I want to do your show, and you're like, sorry, you're not good enough, or I just don't like you?
So that's again a multifaceted question.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm gonna use some weasel words here. Again, this comes back down to relationships. And for if you're booking the show at the pub, remember anything that goes wrong at the pub or wherever the venue, by osmosis, the stink will hang on to you.
Right, right, right.
I went to this show and they didn't have enough chairs. I went to this show, they didn't have enough servers. And even
Right.
though it's separate from you,
Yeah, you don't have anything to do with the servers, right?
yeah, it's
She
still
spilled a drink on me.
yeah, it's still your
And
brand.
even and it's also like even like the owner sometimes will have that sort of stink on you if something happened,
Right.
right? That is like my kitchen caught on fire the day that storytelling thing happened. You know, like little superstitious stuff.
A little too close to home, a little too soon. We'll talk about that offline. Um, but booking features, our show has, we run 2 hours with an intermission. So 7 to 8 intermission, 8 to 9, or 8:10 to 9, and then we're out. Ideally, um, ideally, what we want is to make sure that um, in our practices, because we have several practices a month, um, a couple for the current month, and then a couple brainstormings for the following month and their themes. Let's see. We do a kind of a head count of who is going to be telling, and we built up our bullpen enough where we don't necessarily have to have people telling two stories. And with an open mic, we often encourage people who are first timers or people that want to tell, hey, let me know early, and also let me know before the intermission, and I'll work you in. We generally have a matrix of probably on any given show 6 firm tellers, maybe 8, and then we'll have 2 or 3 from the audience who will want to step in and go from there. Um, and it's all the 6 or 8 that are practiced. We've kind of curated those and we put those into order. But the open mic, it's uncurated. We
Yeah.
try to have a
Yeah, how do you navigate your open mic? Do you just do out of a hat?
yes, but usually we used to do the out of the hat, but
Okay.
now it's kind of um, the host is usually the closer, and then you
Okay.
just kind of slot people in and out as you see fit, trying to build a strong first half and a strong second half. I
Yeah.
want um, I want someone who's uh, genuinely strong going into admission. I mean, into intermission, and I need someone who's pretty strong coming out of intermission as well.
Yep.
And that's a place where, I mean, some of those other places are where I can put in open micers or less experienced storytellers. But I want to make sure that I've got a strong lineup throughout. And after having listened to stories in practice, I can start to chart this show so it doesn't get too heavy in one place, and like where everybody's just looking at their watch like, oh, I need relief. I need relief.
Yeah. So this was something that was, again, very intentionally a reaction to the moth.
Mm-hmm.
I just hated how long it took in between tellers for them to do, all right, bring the hat onto the stage and drum roll, please. I'm turning it around and then I can't quite read it. I just that wasn't fun for me as an audience member, and it was really not fun for me as a teller. But I think that there is something to be said for that. Like, if you are pulling names out of a hat, turn that into part of your show.
Absolutely.
And like, that's like, really spectacle it up, and don't mock it.
Right.
You know, like, figure out what it is that's magic about it, because you can create a lot of tension,
right,
by doing that. Like, some of you have signed up. Are you going to get to go? Are you not going to get to go? And then I can feel the nervous jitters coming into you, and you know, reverberating off of you. I can feel it in the air. You can, if you're gonna do something like that, lean into it.
Absolutely.
I know that here in the comedy scene, people really appreciate first come, first serve. They just get on a list, and you'll get people who will show up early to make sure that they're getting the slot that they want to slot and move around.
Absolutely.
For my show and how we decided to do it was similar to what Kory's saying, and fuck. Now I've lost it.
Well, let me jump in real quickly.
Okay.
As we're building up this idea of audience engagement. So we're laying the bricks. Everything about this is about audience engagement. And I think we'll hit that hard in the last segment, the 4th episode. But you're building everything to make this as customer centric, as audience centric as possible. We're looking at, again, the venue, accessibility. How do the acoustics sound, and how big is it? Because we're thinking about the engagement. This is all about making this a great experience that people want to repeat. And that MC who starts that those conversations, every time he or she speaks, in that interstitial moment between storyteller and storyteller, is another way to make sure that the audience is engaged and staying focused on this. We want your focus on the entire show.
Yeah. So we set it up so the open micers come to me and they give me a snippet of their story, and I make them write down bios. That way I can craft the show like Kory was talking about. And I have a sense of what they're going to bring. We have 4 open mic slots. I usually promise one of them to somebody who I know or think I wanted to invite to be a feature in the future anyway. And then that's how we build out the show. And I don't like, as an artist, I don't like to be nervous about whether I'm going to go up or not. I can't enjoy the show if I don't know. I'm just always thinking about it. So at the top of the show, we tell everybody what the list is, and we have it so they write it down and like everybody knows who the storytellers are and when they're going up and stuff like that.
That's a good point. That's something that I can incorporate from this very first session. Is I usually tell my stable or my bullpen what the order is, and I said
Yeah.
it's barring some a new storyteller. If a new storyteller comes in, I've got to slip them in, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to push you down two
Yeah.
slots or one slot so that we can get the newbies in and break the ice.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh do you do you have methods for getting the open micers? Like because it does become two sorts of things. Like you've got to find people who want to be open micers, and in some shows you got to find people who want to be features.
We generally have, again, we have 6 or 8 who of people who will generally be there every month. That's my stable and my bullpen.
Yeah.
Um, the new people, what we're always trying to do is expand the solitary storyteller into a multiple time storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
Always expanding, because if I have a bullpen of 20 storytellers, guess what? I can give somebody the night off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be.
Well, how do you find them? That's
Oh
my
man,
question.
now that's a harder question. Oh, maybe
Yeah.
we need to save that one for episode 2.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
talent acquisition and retention. And I know that sounds incredibly corporate, but
Yeah. No, I like it.
I want to make sure that I we're always connecting. Again, everything from the beginning to the end is all about relationship building. And I will say that I will die on this hill. The arts community is based on relationships. If you are doing everything right, people may tell you, hey, these guys are good. But if you do something wrong, they will tell 100 people. So you've got to keep your relationships clean, and you've got to keep your relationships, um, as much as I hate this phrase, top of mind. you've
Mm.
got to you've got to keep that bartender or that bar owner top of mind. He needs to think about your brand. Um, with everything happening, you just want to consistently be talking.
Yeah.
Your MC, again, he or she is building a relationship with everybody in the room. And I say this from my professional speech coaching days. Every time you open your mouth, you enter into a relationship with everybody in the room. And whether they are paying attention to you or not,
Yeah.
you are in a relationship with them because you're trying to give information to them that's going to make their life easier, and they are paying you not only a an admission fee, but they're also giving you the currency of applause and attention.
Yeah. So to spin off of that, one of the things that I talk about is that everything is crowd work. And so
Oh,
you were saying like talking about how when people walk in, like you want to know everything, like just like have a sense of like what's it like for somebody who's coming to the show to walk from the parking lot to the place, do that walk at 9 p.m. and like look at it and think about it and like think about the experience. One of the big things that kills me at people who start shows is they'll have, you know, 10 people show up, 3 of them new, and they don't shake their hand. And
oh,
it's like, you know, if you have 10 people and you're sitting with your 5 features and like goofing off with them before the show, that's like nuts to me.
right.
It's nuts. Like go up. The other one is like grab freaking everybody's email, you know, force them to sign something.
Right.
It's not optional, right? You're putting on a show for these people. They,
Right.
they they need to be on your email list because you're trying to build a relationship with them, and they can always hit the unsubscribe button. But
Absolutely.
Being in community and thinking about it of like, it's not just when the show starts. The show is the whole kit and caboodle. It's the marketing, it's the calling. And in this terms of relationship, a thing that's really important to Story Luck is that after show email
Right.
of being like, thank you. And just like when you're thinking about this, like how many shows have you been to? You know, how awesome would it be? Like you went to a concert and you saw fucking Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift emails you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
why not?
absolutely.
Why not? And it really, people love it. It's like,
There's something else I want to amplify this one. That's huge.
you can
Um,
have a mediocre show and be somebody's best friend, and they'll come back.
Absolutely. The customer care, the saying and speaking to people, the simplest things like, are you having a good time? At intermission, that's an easy thing. And even the crowd work afterwards is huge. Um, I'm going to go back to the building and facilities point again. I keep coming
Yeah.
back to that. In the room that we were in originally, this is something that you got to consider, especially if you're in a party room or something like that. Layout. How do you lay out the tables for maximum easy visibility, so that no one's back is to the stage,
Right.
or
Right.
all of that is huge. And we are blessed to have a former architect in our storytelling group, and we walked the room with tape measures, measuring tables, trying to create a flow pattern so that servers were not cutting in front of the stage or walking in front of a storyteller, that everybody could get their food and drinks with a minimum of disruption to the show or everyone's comfort. Take that time to work out those kinds of logistics once you have your venue set, because it will make all the difference in the world for ease of everything.
Yeah. This was a good talk. I have sort of something that I want to leave us with. And in terms of like, we're going to be talking about this stuff for 4 weeks. And this has already kind of been a lot. Like, talk to the venue before you talk to the venue. Talk to a real estate person and talk to like art institutes, and everything's a relation. And now you're going to have, you know, these 10 best friends who you're going to be emailing all the time. And it can get overwhelming super fast. And when the first time somebody was like, it's the easiest thing, we can do this, my mind went straight to all that stuff. It's the hardest thing. It can never be done. You can't do it. In college, I had sort of tried to do something and it didn't come together. And I was very pessimistic, and I was lucky to have this friend who helped me out. And she was like, I've done it before. I did it in San Francisco. There's no stopping us. And you can have that thought. Like you can't, like that's what I want to leave us on, is like you can't screw this up. You can't
Right.
screw up a storytelling show. It can be at your house. It can be in the park. People love it, and it's not like comedy where bad comedy is the most painful, horrible thing that's ever happened to you. A bad story, you forget, and it's not that bad. Like legit, it's 5 minutes and there was a beginning, middle, and end. It's not that bad. Like nobody is horrible at storytelling. There are people who are excellent and, you know, changes your life kind of storytellers. But
I'm pointing at you, Dan.
yeah, I can see that. But a bad story, like a bad storytelling show, could be the best thing you do all week. And so
Right.
I just like really encourage anybody who's watching this to like, this is fun for us as producers to think about all this nitty gritty stuff and to talk about how we do the logistics of it. Invite your friends and do an open mic at your house. Like, just be like, come over for dinner and let's do a one-off show and we're going to tell our favorite stories. Like, just set it up. Make it as easy as possible and do it, and it will be a good time.
And what you've learned from that small venue and that small experience, you can start
Thank
to
you so much,
scale
Nancy.
up. Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Dan, this has been wonderful. I'm
Good.
looking forward to our next week when we talk about talent acquisition and retention.
Oh, is that what we wrote down?
I think that's going to be next week.
That's okay. All right. All right. So
Wait, hang
I
on.
set us up a little bit.
Let me check this. Oh, that was finding storytellers, and today was supposed to be finding a venue and finding storytellers, but I think we spent a lot of time on that one.
Yeah.
We could combine one or two of these. That's not a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Or we could even go into a fifth week.
Yeah. 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 Well, we'll figure out. We're going to talk a lot about hosting, which we've already hit on for this one, but we're going to get into some nitty gritty. I'm going to talk about what is it? I'm going to talk about the email sequences that I'm spinning up and sending out to people and how I run it through MailChimp and have tried some other places. So that'll be a fun time. And we can also hit a little bit more on the talent acquisition next week too.
Do you want to devote the first 15 minutes to talent acquisition?
Sure.
All right. And you know what? Here's the other thing, people. We can always keep talking about talent acquisition because you're constantly shepherding people up until the show. So it makes sense that we'll be talking about talent acquisition and retention every single week.
Yep. Okay. Talk to you guys later. Thank you so much and goodbye. Thank you so much.